In 1600s Japan, there was a class of warriors who could hold their focus so completely, so absolutely, that they could detect an enemy's movement in total darkness. Not through supernatural ability, through training. Specific, daily habits that rewired their minds over months and years until distraction became physically impossible for them. These habits were never written in mainstream history books. They were passed from master to student in secret, considered too powerful, too dangerous to share openly. Today, I'm going to give you all 7 of them. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your focus keeps failing, and precisely what to do about it. Let me describe your day. You sit down to do something important, something that matters. And within 3 minutes, sometimes less, your mind is somewhere else entirely. A notification, a random thought, a sudden urgent need to check something that was not urgent 5 minutes ago. You drag yourself back. You try again. And again it slips. By the end of the day, you have been working for 8 hours and genuinely focused for perhaps 40 minutes. And the worst part, you cannot explain why. You are not stupid. You are not incapable. In fact, you probably care deeply about the things you keep failing to focus on. Here is what is actually happening. The human brain was never designed for modern distraction. It was designed for a world that moved slowly, where threats were physical, where information arrived rarely, where silence was the default state of existence. The modern world has hijacked every attention mechanism your brain has, and monetized your distraction at industrial scale. Your phone is not a tool. It is an adversary built by the most sophisticated behavioral engineers alive, whose entire purpose is to make sure you cannot look away. The samurai faced a different world, but they understood the same fundamental truth. A mind that cannot focus is a warrior already defeated. So they built habits, daily, precise, non-negotiable habits, to forge focus the way a swordsmith forges steel. Here are the 7. The Japanese concept of Shugyo, pronounced Shugyo, translates roughly as austere training or warrior discipline. But its deeper meaning is this: the deliberate pursuit of difficulty for the purpose of mental refinement. The samurai believed that comfort was the enemy of focus, that the mind, left to its own preferences, would always choose ease, and in choosing ease, would grow weak, scattered, and undependable. Shugyo was the antidote, not punishment, not self-torture, but the conscious, daily choice to do the harder thing, specifically because it was harder. Each of the 7 habits I am about to share is a form of Shugyo. Each one was practiced by samurai not for any single immediate benefit, but as a continuous sharpening of the mind's ability to stay present, stay clear, and stay unbreakable under pressure. Habit 1. Mokuso, the 2-minute pre-focus ritual. Before every training session, every samurai sat in complete stillness for 2 minutes. Eyes closed, breathing slow, mind deliberately emptied of whatever came before. This practice, Mokuso, was not meditation for peace. It was a mental gear shift, a hard boundary between the scattered world outside and the focused work ahead. Modern neuroscience calls this attentional reset, the deliberate clearing of working memory before a focused task. Research from the University of California found that even a brief mindfulness pause before work increases sustained attention by up to 22. The samurai knew nothing of neuroscience. They knew everything about results. Before your most important work today, sit still for 2 minutes. No phone, no planning, no review of what you need to do. Simply arrive. Let the noise of the previous hours settle like dust after a storm. Then begin. Habit 2. Ishin, one mind, one task. Ishin, one heart, one mind was the samurai principle of absolute single-tasking. The samurai did not train while thinking about dinner. He did not clean his sword while planning tomorrow. When he was present in an activity, he was entirely present. His attention undivided, his awareness total. Modern productivity culture celebrates multitasking as efficiency. The research is devastating in its clarity. Multitasking does not exist. What we call multitasking is rapid, costly attention switching that reduces cognitive performance by up to 40 and increases error rates significantly. The samurai's single-tasking was not a limitation. It was a superpower. Choose one task. Close everything else. Work on that one thing until it is done or until your scheduled time ends. Then, and only then, move to the next. This is Ishin. And practice daily, it rebuilds the brain's capacity for deep focus that modern distraction has slowly eroded. Habit 3. Fudoshin, the immovable mind. Fudoshin is one of the most important concepts in all of Japanese martial philosophy. The state of a mind that cannot be moved by distraction, emotion, or external pressure. The samurai trained Fudoshin through a specific daily practice. Deliberate exposure to discomfort without reaction. Sitting in cold. Holding an uncomfortable position. Staying still while noise happened around them. Not to suffer, but to train the gap between stimulus and response. To build the muscle of noticing a distraction and choosing consciously not to follow it. You can practice Fudoshin right now. The next time your phone buzzes during important work, notice the pull. Feel the urge to look. And then, deliberately, do not look for 5 more minutes. That 5-minute gap is a repetition. And like a physical repetition in a gym, each one makes the muscle slightly stronger. Habit 4. Kanso no Saikatsu, the simplified life. Kanso, simplicity, was not an aesthetic preference for the samurai. It was a cognitive strategy. Every object you own, every commitment you hold, every open decision in your life consumes a small piece of your mental bandwidth, what psychologists call cognitive load. The more complex your environment and your life, the less mental resource remains for actual focus. The samurai owned almost nothing, committed to almost nothing beyond their path, made almost no unnecessary decisions. This was not poverty. This was Kanso no Saikatsu, the simplified life as a weapon for the focused mind. Audit your life this week. What commitments drain you without returning real value? What objects clutter your space and therefore clutter your mind? What decisions could be made once and then removed from your daily mental landscape permanently? Each simplification is an investment in focus. The samurai understood this with a clarity that most modern men never reach. Habit 5. Ma, the sacred use of emptiness. Ma is one of the most uniquely Japanese concepts in existence, and one of the most misunderstood by Western minds. It translates as negative space or meaningful emptiness. In architecture, it is the deliberate space between objects. In music, it is the silence between notes. In the samurai's life, it was the protected empty time between periods of intense focus. The samurai did not work continuously. They trained with full intensity and then they stopped. Completely. No half-rest where the mind still churned. No productive recovery. True emptiness. A walk in the garden. Sitting by water. The tea ceremony. Modern productivity destroys Ma completely. We fill every gap. Commutes, meals, moments of waiting with stimulation. And in doing so, we prevent the brain from performing its most essential maintenance. The consolidation of learning, the restoration of attention, the quiet processing that turns information into wisdom. Protect your Ma. Build empty time into your day deliberately, not as laziness but as the sacred space that makes the focus time possible. Habit 6. Zanshin, lingering awareness. Zanshin translates as remaining mind. The state of relaxed, total awareness that persists after an action is complete. In sword training, a samurai who struck a decisive blow and then mentally relaxed was considered dangerous, not to his opponent but to himself. Zanshin was the practice of maintaining full presence even after the apparent completion of a task. Applied to focus. Most people, when they finish a piece of work, immediately collapse into distraction. Reaching for the phone, switching to something light, releasing all the tension. Zanshin teaches something different. Complete the task, and then take 30 seconds of full presence before transitioning. Notice what you just did. Let it settle. Close it properly. This practice trains the mind to treat transitions as conscious choices rather than automatic collapses, and over time, builds the kind of steady, sustained awareness that the samurai considered the mark of a truly trained mind. Habit 7. Kaizen no Chikara, the power of continuous refinement. Kaizen, the word has entered modern business language, but its original meaning was far deeper than corporate efficiency. For the samurai, Kaizen was a daily practice of asking one question at the end of every day. Where was my focus weakest today? And what one adjustment will I make tomorrow? Not a long review. Not a productivity postmortem. One honest question. One specific answer. This habit, practiced daily without exception, means that your focus improves every single day by a small, compounding amount. Not dramatically, not overnight, but consistently, permanently, in the same way that water, dripping on stone daily, eventually cuts a canyon. This is Kaizen no Chikara, the power that comes not from intensity, but from direction maintained over time. 7 habits. 7 forms of Shugyo, the ancient warrior's path of deliberate mental refinement. Mokuso, the 2-minute reset that prepares the mind for presence. Ishin, 1 task, 1 mind, absolute. Fudoshin, the immovable mind that notices distraction and chooses differently. Kanso no Saikatsu, the simplified life that removes the weight of unnecessary complexity. Ma, the sacred emptiness that makes focus time sustainable. Zanshin, the lingering awareness that treats every transition as a conscious choice. Kaizen no Chikara, the daily 1-question refinement that compounds into mastery. These are not tips. They are not hacks. They are a complete system, tested not in offices or laboratories, but on battlefields where losing focus meant losing everything. The samurai did not have better brains than you. They had better habits. And habits, unlike talent, can be built by anyone willing to begin. If this path is yours, subscribe, because the next video will go deeper into the ancient samurai systems for mastering the self. The warrior is not born. He is forged, and the forging begins with a single day of practice. Begin today.